Hey there, 8th grade. Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because, honestly, we're unpacking something that has the power to completely flip how you see your school day, your friends, and, well, pretty much your whole life. Okay, let's jump right into this. We're looking at a truly brilliant lesson from the book of Romans today, specifically Romans 13, verses 8 through 10. And we're going to explore how one single action, literally just one thing, actually fulfills God's entire law. I know, that sounds like a massive claim, but by the time we wrap up, you're going to see exactly how it works.
So, let's kick things off with a little thought experiment. What is the one thing we owe everyone? I want you to imagine for a second that you have a permanent debt. Imagine if every single time you walked down the hallway at school or sat down at the lunch table or even logged into a multiplayer game, you owed a debt to every single person you interacted with. And I'm not talking about a debt of money, you don't owe them $5, but a debt of action. You have to pay it every single day and you can never, ever fully pay it off. What could that possibly be?
Well, the answer is sitting right here in our text. Romans chapter 13, verse 8 tells us, "Owe no one anything except to love one another." That is such an incredibly powerful statement. God is basically commanding us to view love as the ultimate ongoing debt we owe to the world. You don't get to wake up and say, well, I loved my brother yesterday, so my debt is paid up. I can be totally mean to him today. No way. It's a continuous, daily calling. Love is the absolute heart of God's way of righteousness.
Section 1. Breaking down the law.
To really grasp why this matters, we have to understand what God's law actually requires. Sometimes, especially in 8th grade, biblical rules can feel like this super heavy, almost impossible burden. It can feel like just a giant list of don'ts. Here are some of the big ones Paul lists out. Do not commit adultery, do not murder, do not steal, do not bear false witness, and do not covet. Now let's translate this directly to your world right now. Do not steal means no cheating on that math test or, taking credit for someone else's work on a group project. Do not bear false witness. That means no spreading destructive rumors or gossiping in the group chat. And do not covet means fighting off that bitter jealousy when your friend gets the new shoes you really wanted or when someone else gets the lead role in the play and becomes a bit more popular. These commands are absolutely crucial. They set the boundary lines for a really good, safe life.
But here is the absolute game changer. Instead of constantly stressing over trying to memorize this massive, exhaustive list of individual rules every second of the day, Paul teaches us that all these commands are summed up in one powerful statement: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Think about it for a second. If you truly love your neighbor, you're obviously not going to steal from them. If you truly love them, you aren't going to spread a false rumor about them. True love actually helps us fulfill God's righteous requirements effortlessly.
Section 2. Love is more than feelings. We really need to challenge the preconceived notions you might have about what love actually means. The world's view, the one you see in movies or hear all over the radio, says love is just a feeling. It's those butterflies in your stomach that come and go depending on your mood, or depending on how nice someone is being to you on any given day. But God's view of love? It is an action. It actively obeys God and does what is right toward others, totally regardless of how you happen to feel in the moment.
So what are we actually talking about? Biblical love is the heart of God's way of righteousness that never leads a believer to harm, cheat, dishonor, or mistreat others. Period. True love is an active, protective choice. When you operate out of this kind of love, you automatically prevent yourself from breaking all those commandments we just talked about. You won't mistreat people because your active obedience to God essentially creates a shield of protection around how you treat everyone else.
Section 3. Growing in God's grace.
Now, it's one thing to know what biblical love is, but to actually do it, to love everyone, even the people who seriously annoy you at school, that is literally impossible on our own strength. We need help. So here is the step-by-step reality of how we achieve this. Step 1 is the born-again experience. When you accept Christ, you receive immediate access to God's grace, His mercy, His Spirit, and His power. That right there is your fuel. But it doesn't stop there. Look at step 2, work in progress salvation. You are very much a work in progress. As believers, we have to consciously continue growing in love and obedience. You will absolutely mess up sometimes, but you keep growing. And finally, step 3, living to please the Father. This is holiness. This is waking up every single day and asking God for the power to love others well, not just to look like a good person to your friends, but to genuinely please your Heavenly Father.
Section 4. Your real-life application. Let's bring all these rich concepts right down to Monday morning. How do we take what Paul wrote thousands of years ago and actually use it in the 8th grade this week? I want you to visualize something for a second. Picture a big heart, and right in the middle it says, "Love does no harm." Now imagine arrows pointing outward from that heart in all directions, pointing to real, kind, and obedient actions you can take. Maybe one arrow points to helping someone who dropped their books all over the hallway. Maybe another arrow points to inviting the new kid to sit with you at lunch, instead of just letting them sit alone. Or maybe an arrow simply points to holding your tongue when you really want to say something sarcastic and mean. Those are kind and obedient actions, and they flow straight out of a heart that does no harm.
And this whole concept is just perfectly wrapped up in our memory verse for the day. Romans 13:10 says, "Love does no harm to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law." I really want you to lock that verse into your memory. It proves that true, active love naturally and beautifully fulfills all of God's righteous requirements.
Section 5. The Godly Learner Philosophy.
As we wrap up our explainer today, we definitely need to talk about the godly learner philosophy. Because you might be wondering, why are we even talking about biblical morality when you also have to study algebra, earth science, and history? Well, it matters because of what Romans 8, 6, and 7 teach us. To be spiritually minded is life and peace. Keeping our minds spiritually focused on God's truth brings true life and true peace into literally everything we do. If your mind is just focused on getting a good grade or making sure you're the smartest person in the room, it's ultimately going to leave you stressed out and empty. But if your mind is spiritually minded, applying God's love directly to your studies, that changes everything.
And that's why, at the core of our philosophy, HeroesMart Academy intertwines biblical morality with education. Because honestly, education without morality can actually hurt people. Think about it. If you are incredibly smart and have all the knowledge in the world, but you lack biblical love, you might end up using your intelligence to cheat, to exploit others, or just to be arrogant. Knowledge and intelligence shouldn't simply make you more capable, they should empower you to make wise, God-honoring choices. By keeping your mind centered on God, on truth, wisdom, and righteous choices, you become a powerful force for good in this world. So as you head into your week, I challenge you to pursue academic excellence for sure, but do it while keeping your mind spiritually centered. Will you just be a smart student this week, or will you actively pay that daily debt of love to everyone around you? Think about it. Have an amazing week, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.